Time now for the Hog Hoops Report. Hayden Herrera joined alongside Kevin McPherson. Kevin, another raucous atmosphere at Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas avoids the sweep of Auburn, winning 88-75. A lot to get to, but I know something you've been talking about a lot recently. Defense. You've been wanting to see how this team can improve defensively over the course of the season. So I want to ask you right away, what did you make of the defense in this 13-point win over the Tigers?
I thought the defense held up pretty well. I think what's disappointing is Arkansas continues to give hemorrhage, stopping teams from getting offensive rebounds. Gave up 21 in the midweek to LSU despite winning by 29 on the road. And then last night, 15 offensive rebounds. You give up 15 second chance points. That's how you shoot so well. And the other team, you're keeping them around 40%, but they're getting those second chance opportunities. And then I think, you had two players that are exceptional talents in Tahad Pettiford and Keyshawn Murphy. And sometimes, even when you're playing well, all it takes is a couple of guys to get hot to kind of keep you within a heavyweight puncher shot of figuring out a way to, win in the end. But Arkansas, in a game of runs, I thought took command early in the second half with a big run. But I thought the defense had a lot to do with that. 15-2, Arkansas led by 6 at halftime, so blew that out to a 19-point lead. And about 14 minutes ago, that actually expanded to 21-point advantage. Now, Auburn would whittle that down to 8, so we saw times where the defense lapsed, but Arkansas put the foot back on the pedal hard and got that up to a double-digit margin again and end up winning by 13 points. But if we go back to that run to start the second half, you had Trevon Brazile blocking and altering shots, getting defensive rebounds. Billy Richmond getting out in transition and getting to the rim. Darius Akuff Jr. having a career night behind the three-point line. And how do you want it? I mean, he's getting off catch and shoot, running off screens, curling, off the bounce, shot clock winding down, left corner, right corner, out high. I mean, this is a dude getting above and below the break in a variety of ways, and it's just elite. And now I'm talking offense again. It's hard to even if you ask me about defense, but look, Arkansas holds Auburn to 75 in an 11-point win to open up SEC play at Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas held Tennessee to 75 points, held several more opponents in the 70s, including South Carolina. I think had 74. You kept Vanderbilt, one of the top teams in the country, let alone the SEC, down to 68. And so at home, Arkansas has been better defensively. But if you look at recency of games, back-to-back road wins holding both Mississippi State and LSU, who we'll talk about in a little bit, below 70, and then keeping one of the top offensive teams in the country in Auburn at to 75. Granted, the Tigers without their leading scorer, Keyshawn Hall, but other guys stepped up. And so defensively, I think Arkansas's showing improvement. They were once ranked in the 70s in defensive efficiency, according to KenPom. They're in the low 40s now. So that tells you there's been a move towards improvement on defense because the offense is fine. Arkansas's fifth in KenPom in offensive efficiency ratings. They're elite offensively. It's been the defense. And I thought again last night, despite two players going off, Arkansas held the rest of that team in check. And then Arkansas had its own explosive offense from key guys, especially in crucial moments where, again, Auburn was trying to get back in and Arkansas turned the Tigers away.
Yeah, Arkansas lost by 22 to this team. We talked about it last week. It was one of the sorriest performances we'd seen from the team this season. But the Tigers were without one of their key players, Keyshawn Hall. He was out for disciplinary reasons, as Coach Pearl stated. How different of a game did it play out for you without Hall's presence there on the floor?
Well, one thing, I mean, Arkansas was minus 20 points in the paint when they lost at Auburn. They almost flipped the script completely, plus 18 last night. Hall hit some threes, but he'll also slash, get in the paint, get to the rim. I thought that was one of the things that kind of stood out to me. The other thing was Arkansas was only plus 4 in points in the paint at halftime, 24-20. Keyshawn Murphy, the big man, who had another double-double against Arkansas. He had one in the previous game. 18 first-half points. Mostly Brazile, held him in some committee there with Pringle and Ewan, but Brazile held him to 4 points in the second half. And that was as big as anything, because you had two-headed monster coming at you in that first half with him and Todd Pettiford on the perimeter, and you led by only 6 points. And I thought again, Brazile defending the rim, altering shots, getting tough on the glass, a little tougher than he was in the first half, I thought. So, I think the big swing difference in the two games was points in the paint. And a lot of Arkansas's was Billy Richmond. He was 12 of 15 from the field, career high 25 points, but he just kept getting downhill into the rim. Some in transition, feasting all. I mean, the dude, look at 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He's out there doing a lot, but 25 points, that's by far a career high for him, and it was all getting to the basket. We saw Brazile score 9 of his 11 points in the second half. So we've seen Arkansas, when it needs to turn the dial up, do that in second halves of games. And we saw that again here. But I think the biggest difference between this and the game at Auburn, one more thing, I mentioned the points in the paint. The only way you can do that and have an advantage like that is to not fall in love with the three-point line. When Arkansas lost by 22 at Auburn, they were down 15 and a half. And in the first half, Arkansas attempted 17 three-pointers. So they couldn't get stops on defense. And then on offense, they bailed the Tigers out with no paint pressures, jacking up threes. Arkansas started this game, first 3 shots were from 3. And I'm like, uh-oh, there's a reason you're open from 3. They want you to do that. They don't want you coming at them. Go at them. Go at them. Yeah, that's how you win. Arkansas, by percentage, is a good three-point shooting team, 37%. But the strength of this team is paint touches, making sure you're generating free throw attempts and getting close range shots. Arkansas is really good at that, even better. Calipari talked about it after the game. First thing he said, we shot 67% from the field. What do you have to shoot from 3 to match that kind of efficiency? And he answered his own question, around 46% from 3. And Arkansas is not that good, maybe on 1 or 2 given nights, but not consistently. So there's a point there. So I think, you asked me what was the difference, and I'm kind of going on about it. Some of those things are it. And of course, Keyshawn Hall missing in action, that might have been a different game in terms of a closer game. But I don't think Keyshawn Murphy and Pettiford would have had the volume of production they had with Hall out there. Right. So you can't assume Hall adds you another 20 points by simple math. Auburn wins by 7 on the road because they lost by 13. I think it would have taken away from other guys. I think Arkansas was going to win that game. We'll never know, but even if Keyshawn Hall had been available.
You mentioned him, Billy Richmond. What a night, career night, and points wise, 25 points. It was his energy, his defense. What is it the matchups we're seeing? What has gotten into Billy? You feel like, is it just overall progression, development that's leading him to have these kind of performances, especially last night?
Well, he's been splitting time with Carter Knox. And Knox missed a couple of games, only played 6 minutes last night. Billy's been in the starting lineup. And you're seeing more and more of teams, for whatever reason, it still blows my mind. Whenever Billy puts the ball on the deck and drives, it's like someone has a pause button on all the defenders. They look like cones or statues is what I say. He's just blowing by him in a blur, and they don't want none, man. Nobody's challenging him at the rim. He's figuring out this is the best version of myself is just attack. He gets out in transition. He's slashing in the half court. He's making cuts and getting passes and finishing. And so, if he can stay out of foul trouble and you keep him on the court, he's now, like last night he played 36 minutes and he's now insta ahead of Carter Knox in minutes per game. And Carter started most of the season at that wing spot. So Billy Richmond III, I say it all the time. I've said it all year. He and Trevon Brazile, when you look at both ends, what they can give you on offense, not always 15 points, but they can give you enough. But what they give you on defense and those effort hustle plays, 50-50 balls, blocking shots, getting steals, getting out in transition, all those things, getting on the glass, they're Arkansas's best two-way players consistently all year long. And then Billy's starting to capitalize even more. You're seeing more and more growth in what he can give you. Is he going to go out and do, from now on, give you 20, 25 a night? No. But He has to be accounted for. You have to scout for him. And I just don't see defenses reacting very well to him. And that's a strength for Arkansas. I say, do what you can to keep Billy on the court because he's going to pay back and pay the dividends back. And the positives certainly outweigh with his energy and effort. Some of the drawbacks, he can be turnover prone, he can get in foul trouble, those kinds of things. Not a top-notch three-point shooter, but the positives far outweigh double H's, the negs.
Absolutely. 25 points. Can't complain about that. Can't complain about 31 points from Darius Akuff either. Matches his career best. Just looking at 7 assists, just 1 turnover. No steals, but hey, can't have it all, I guess. What part? I mean, Razorback fans, you only got a couple more chances to see Darius at Bud Walton Arena before this season ends. So, I know we've been, cherishing every chance we get to see him up close and personal. Kevin, what part of his game did you really enjoy seeing last night?
He is a brilliant offensive player. I don't know any other way to characterize it. The game high 7 assists, by the way, and only 1 turnover. Playing 38 minutes. I mean, he can score any way he wants to, any way he wants. And it's just, late he pulled up for a 19-footer. He's knocking down threes. He had a big clutch shot. Auburn's trying to stay in the game. He pulls up with a 19-footer and gets all the way to the rim. His layup game, the angles he takes to get clean looks, not being the most explosive guy in terms of being able to jump over people. He's strong, but at the end of the day, say he's 6'3", he's probably 6'2". I just think he's especially as a true freshman, this is as good as I've seen. And I've seen some great players come in and have great rookie seasons over the years. Scotty Thurman, Moses Moody, Anthony Black, Lee Mayberry, and there's more. I've never seen anything like this on the offensive end. Defense is a work in progress. It's been that for the entire team, so I'm not going to lay that all off on him. And I'm not going to lie and say he's incredible at both ends. He's incredible on the offensive end, but it's not just the production and the percentage. I mean, he's shooting for a lead guard. He's shooting 50% overall from the field, over 43% from three, 7 of 10 last night from distance, 10 of 15 overall. Hovering around 78% at the free throw line. He's checking every box in an All-American, not just All SEC, an All-American kind of way. When you look at those stats, a 6.3 assists per game against only 2 turnovers, so better than 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. But it's not just the production; he infuses the right play at the right time offensively. Arkansas is an elite offense, and it starts with him. And I talked to an NBA scout yesterday, Hayden, on my drive up to Fayetteville from Little Rock to cover this game. And one of the things he said is he heard back from this Arkansas staff early on and said it wasn't even a 3-4 days once the team got on campus in the summer for those limited workouts. He'd been on campus 2 or 3 days, and it was obvious. There was no question who the best player on this team was when you look at all the things he brings to the table. He went out and in real games against live bullets and one of the toughest schedules in the country. And these players have pretty well defined themselves at this point, right? I mean, you're 25 games into a 31-game regular season. You've got postseason coming up. But he's gone out and proven it night in and night out against the best. This dude is unreal, man. And I mean, there's probably more I could say that I haven't touched on, and I'll figure that out later, and we'll run it back. But he's having an All-American season.
Absolutely. Fun to watch for sure. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll plenty more to come here on the Hog Hoops Report. Stay tuned. We're back here on the Hog Hoops Report. Hayden Herrera alongside Kevin McPherson. Kevin, so many storylines from this Arkansas game against Auburn. We haven't even gotten a chance to really touch on the play of Trevon Brazile. 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks. A solid performance at a position that Arkansas really needed it for.
Yeah, and he had 1 steal, and it was early. I think Auburn was up 9-6, and he gets a steal and goes in and dunks it and cuts it to 1, and Arkansas went on a run. And he had I think he had a block shot in that run. It was a 10-0 run. He started it with that steal and dunk. And then the start of the second half, it was Acuff threes and Richmond getting to the basket. But it was Brazile blocking shots and getting rebounds again. I think sometimes if you just looked at 11 points or you look at just 7 rebounds, you just some of these stats are like, he's what? I mean, where's the greatness here? Combine it all. The 4 blocks. He's had 13 blocks in the last 3 games. He had a double double, 14 points. What was it? 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, something crazy against LSU in the previous game on the road. In the last 3 games, he's been consistently just racking up blocks and steals, and getting scoring in double digits. And so I think when we look at Trevon Brazile, I think he's the X factor on this team. And I've been saying it for a while. I've been putting tweets out about him for 2 weeks, explaining why he's an all-league performer and the close games that he's impacted in the end. And even some of these games where the margin's a little bigger, they probably wouldn't be if not for some of these both ends of the court things he's doing. But he's, Calipari said in the post game last night, the way he's playing, we're really, really good if he does that. That's why he's the X factor. He didn't use that word. I've been using it. I think it's obvious. And I think Billy Richmond's kind of a glue guy, and you could make a case he's the X factor, but it's Brazile because Arkansas lacks physicality in the post. Arkansas lacks certain things defending around the basket. But this guy's one of the best shot blockers around. He alters a lot of shots. He's Arkansas's leading rebounder. He's top 5 in the SEC in defensive rebounds. And we know that's an area Arkansas struggles. So at least he's, doing yeoman's work for the most part on that glass. I just think Trevon Brazile is an unsung hero. He's been almost as important, in my opinion, as Darius Akuff has been offensively. I think when you look at both ends of it, because Brazil's Arkansas's third leading scorer, he's one of only 3 averaging double digits in scoring. And so I just think that last night was another example of what he means to this team. And sometimes I think it's easy to look over it because when you look at a box score the next day, he's not getting a double-double every night out. And he's got 5 this season. That's good. He's a guy I think that's capable of doubling that kind of a thing. He should probably be at 9 or 10 double-doubles. And so consistency, he's been consistently good, but not game in and game out. Just like Acuff, game in and game out, that dude's going to be around 20 points and 5 or 6 assists, with rare exceptions. Brazile's still working toward, being a consistent double-digit scorer and giving you no less than 7 or 8 rebounds. But these last 3 games, you can't complain. I mean, the dude's putting up monster numbers of 13 blocks in the last 3 games. That's nearly 4.5 blocks per game. That's what he's capable of. That's what he's capable of.
Unsung hero for sure. Yeah, you mentioned it. He had double-double against LSU. He was one of 4 Razorbacks in double-digit scoring Tuesday night against LSU. Hogs go to Baton Rouge. They win 91-62. Just a quick thought on that game. It was a Tuesday night, 8 p.m. They're coming off a road trip to Starkville, but they go into Baton Rouge and take care of business.
Speaking of dominating points in the paint, Arkansas gave up 21 offensive rebounds to LSU, but was plus 30 in points in the paint.
Wow.
64-34. And again, it's a testament. I mean, that was a game where Acuff, this past game against Auburn, going nuts from 3 and getting some inside the arc, but against LSU, he hits 1 3. The team only hits 3 threes. Everything was in the paint, and Acuff is just, what did he finish with, 28 points? 28 points, but all he did was get to the basket. It was mostly layups.
Yeah.
I think he made 13 field goals. Mostly layups. And, pick your poison with him. You mentioned Brazile with that crazy stat line. I mean, insane stat line. What was it? Again, 14 points, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks. I think he had 4 steals. Threw in an assist for good measure, 1 or 2 assists. I don't remember. I'm just going off memory here.
Yeah, 14 and 12, 5 blocks, 4 steals. Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, and so, Arkansas wins by 29 on the road. But the previous game, Mississippi State, a 20-point win on the road. And so 3 games consecutively where you're winning, you have double-digit winning margins. Now, these teams aren't, setting the world on fire in league play. Auburn is actually a really good team. Auburn's got quality wins, and including a road win at Florida. That's one of Florida's 2 league losses. But what Arkansas's done here recently, a lot of it's improved defense. The offense continues to find those higher gears. And I thought that, and especially given that LSU came into Fayetteville just 2 weeks prior and took Arkansas to the limit, led most of that game and only lost by 4. Now, Deaton Thomas was out, their
Yeah.
best player, and he had a big game in Fayetteville. So back-to-back games here, Arkansas's kind of benefited from some key guys out, but Arkansas's had been playing without Knox and DJ, and those guys only totaled 12 minutes last night, not a lot of production. But at the same time, Arkansas is just starting to – I don't know that this team's peaking yet, but I want to see that defense continue to improve. I don't know how much better it can really get. I don't know. But one thing I'll say, Hayden, and now in 3 consecutive games, we've said all year long Arkansas lacks physicality inside, lacks that kind of resistance in their post game. But what they're doing to offset that is they're blocking shots at an elite level all of a sudden. These last 3 games, Arkansas had, as a team, double digits in blocks. I think 30 or 31, so 10, 10, and 11 or something like that. And Trevon Brazile's got basically half of those. He's got 13, almost half, getting close to half there of that measure. So that's why he is the X factor. If he's doing these things, I think it ignites. Because Billy, is bringing energy. You need a Batman and a Robin with that kind of just getting in there and gritting out those tough plays and not just relenting and you got to play with some force and some determination. And so if you get 2 of those, I think then it starts to percolate a little bit, and other players maybe rise above their station and do a little better defensively. And now that's what you need. You need it as one heartbeat, but you can't just have one guy showing the way. You need at least 2, and it's those 2.
Kevin, it's looking like an exciting end to the SEC regular season crown, chase for the crown. Florida up there, Arkansas just 1 game back of Florida, then Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky 2 games back. So this week, Arkansas goes to Tuscaloosa to face the Crimson Tide, and then the first of 2 games against Missouri. This is just 6 games to go, but I feel like we're going to say it every week. A very big week for the Razorbacks on the road and at home.
Yeah, Calipari said it last night in the post-game presser. He goes, all right, now in our last 6 games, we could lose all 6. And that's true. Alabama has lost games at home. This is not – it's a good Alabama team. They played a monster non-conference schedule. Their non-con was actually tougher than Arkansas's. And they, so that this is a team that's got quality wins against quality teams, still fighting for that top pecking order in the SEC, a game behind Arkansas in the win-loss column in the league standings. And so Bama's playing for a lot. Everybody wants one of those top 4 seeds in that double bye in the SEC tournament, and that which also means if you've secured that, you've probably in this league, as tough as it is, probably given yourself a really good seed in the NCAA tournament at large if you don't win your league tournament. So there's a lot on the line here, and you're playing on the road. Arkansas seems like they live on the road in Tuscaloosa, even if they get a game at home. Usually they're playing 2 games in a home and away, or they're on the road at Tuscaloosa with no home game. Again, Bama in a lot of ways has been vulnerable at home. So you look at that as a Hog fan and go, okay, maybe this team can break through. But I still think Arkansas's got to continue to put up some resistance defensively. Alabama's the kind of team that can hang 95 to 105 on Arkansas if the Hogs don't show up defensively. So that's going to be a tough game, obviously. And then you get Missouri, a good Missouri team, not great when you look at the net rankings, but a team that's also got some big wins, a big road win recently over A&M. But then Missouri will come back and lose a game you think they ought to win. I think they lost to Texas over the weekend, and so they're kind of up and down with some of these results. But they've got really good. If you think Keyshawn Murphy and Tahad Pettiford gave Arkansas problems, Missouri's got 2 or 3 guys that look like all league performers when they're playing well, and so that's why Calipari cautioned it, especially before Auburn losing at home to Kentucky, that first home loss, losing at home or being really close and maybe being in a position where you might lose to LSU at home. So even though you're at home against Missouri and you've only got the one loss and 13 wins inside that building this so far, you don't take it for granted. So I think it's a tough week. You always say if you're playing any game on the road during the week and you get a split, that's a win, especially if you got back-to-back road games. Arkansas's road and then home, Bama road, Missouri home. But I think Arkansas, even though Calipari's right, they could lose those games. I think they can win both of them as well. And a 2-0 week positions Arkansas really nicely with the end of the month coming in the end of February and Florida on the road. The Gators are in first place in the league at 10-2. Arkansas sole possession right now of second place at 9-3. You win these two games this week and keep matriculating the ball down the field. That puts a lot of pressure on Florida to take care of business at home. And Arkansas, in a sense, is playing with house money because Florida would be expected to win. Would also potentially still be in first place of the league at that point. But one game at a time, and it starts with Bama in the midweek on Wednesday. I think that's the other piece of good news here. It's not a Tuesday game, and so Arkansas gets it's on a normal schedule getting into the midweek.
Kevin, not only did Arkansas get a pair of wins on the court this week, they also got a win off the court in the form of a very highly coveted recruit, Jordan Smith Jr. Had a lot, could have gone anywhere he wanted, but he chose Coach Cal and the Razorbacks. What can you tell us about this? From all accounts, just phenomenal high school talent.
No doubt about it. And for the Razorback program, for the fan base, this was a Charlie Sheen weekend in the basketball program. Winning. I mean, you have the Hogs in Auburn and the revenge game, but before that, the night before, you got Jordan Smith Jr. coming off the board, the number 2 player in the class of 2026, a bona fide 5-star. He's got a case as the best player in the class. Several people think that he is, and I think he's going to get his share of National Player of the Year honors when the dust settles on this season. But just 6'2", 6'9" wingspan, powerfully built, explosive, but it's the floor IQ and just a temperament of win. Oh, high stats. Everybody likes stats. You like to, you want to see your stats. He doesn't care about that. He gets them because he's out there making plays to win, and he's just a hell of a player, man. Now Arkansas has 3 5-stars in this class, 2 that signed early. Right. Jashawn J.J. Andrews, Little Rock Christian, 6'6" wing. ESPN has him ranked 11th in the country, 247 Sports 12th. 5 stars in both of those, 5 stars in the composite rankings. Abdou Toure gets a bump in the Rivals on 3 rankings, up to number 11 in those rankings, so a 5-star. He's also a top 25 5-star in the composite rankings. Abdou Toure, the 6'5" wing out of West Haven, Connecticut, Notre Dame High School there. But you put Jordan Smith Jr., the highest ranked of all 3, but now it's that mantra that Calipari's brought in his high school recruiting since coming to Arkansas. Started his first class, a guard and 2 wings. Second class, 2 guards and a wing. This class now, a guard and 2 wings. And so it's that 3 backcourt wing supremacy, excellence, bar none. And defensively, this is far along as I've ever seen any class with a high school player. When you're talking 5 stars in high school, you're talking usually 75-80% offense, and then maybe the tools and the projecting down the line as being plus or elite defenders, but they're just not there yet. These guys are all elite or plus defenders in high school, and it's viewed as maybe the strength of their ceilings as they move forward. So they already bring a lot on that end of the court. So it's really hard to get one true freshman that you'd say that about, but to have 3 in their backcourt players. And so there are a lot of things to love about this class. And there were 2 top priorities for John Calipari in this class. There was a 2-headed number 1 on the big board. One of them was J.J. Andrews because he's a legacy, because he's an in-state kid, and because he's so good. Talk about winner and winning, trying to win every play in a nonstop motor. The hardest playing kid I've ever seen in the state. So he was one in that compartmentalized bucket. And then the other number 1 on the big board was Jordan Smith Jr., and Calipari got both. It's unusual to have 2 number 1 players on your big board, but that's what you had here. and that's what he got. And it's Calipari. Who's surprised by that? But Jordan Smith Jr., a wonderful kid, a wonderful player. And these are the kind of guys, including especially him and JJ and Torre is with his chart climbing and how much he's improved. These are the kind of players that you can not only build a really good team around, potentially a great team. And you're not just talking about, okay, these are centerpieces and a foundation for a Final Four. Even as freshmen, that you have the potential to build around that and say, we've got a national championship caliber thing going here. That's how good Jordan Smith Jr. is and the rest of this class.
All three. Looking forward to seeing them play at Bud Walton Arena in the very near future. All right. As always, thank you, Kevin, for joining us. This has been your Hog Hoops Report. More Pig Trail coming up after the break.